Right, there was some fun and furious football at Galatasaray last night. Let's talk about the Europa League. Galatasaray 3, Spurs 2. Spurs. My goodness. Some people are worried that the Europa League can be a bit drab. Well, not when Ange Postecoglou's involved.
No, that was an absolutely mad game. Especially sort of the really weird thing is that after the sending off, Spurs won 1-0. Yeah. And they beat Karabag down to 10 men. So maybe this is the thing for them in Europe.
They look so much better when they're down to 10 men.
It's funny, isn't it? Yeah, that's probably because maybe they're forced to be a little bit more disciplined at the back when they've got 10 men. The minds focus a bit more and so on.
Yeah, I suppose, but then often, sometimes it goes too far, like against Chelsea when they had 9 men and they were like, we'll just defend on the halfway line.
Yeah, I love that. I'm not a Spurs fan, but I would hate to think any Spurs fan didn't enjoy that. You know.
I lost to Chelsea.
Yeah, well, no, but as I say, but anyway, we're talking about this one, and it was all over the place.
The first half was atrocious from Spurs. They're probably distracted by the smell of Jose Mourinho's smelly league.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, do you think though that Ange at any point sort of? He just is like, no, he just quadruples down on it, doesn't he? Which, again, I slightly admire, Jim.
It's entertaining, isn't it?
Yeah. And that's what it's about for the neutral.
Well, very much so. I feel like he does maybe care a bit too much about the neutral at sometimes in terms of entertainment value.
He loves us.
Galatasaray had so many shots.
The people's team.
So many shots.
Yeah.
Especially the start of the second half. I genuinely... I would turn away from the screen to, like, I don't know, breathe.
Do you think maybe that before the game, Fraser Forster said to him, "Look, mate, give us a shot at being number one. I'm not.
Fancy a busy night. I'm up for the cup."
He's like,
Dad, give me all the cigarettes, Dad.
Yeah, I don't play that much, and so on. All right, okay, let's see how good you are when this happens. Then turns out he was actually all right.
Yeah, he didn't do too badly.
Some Spurs fans were quite critical of him, and I can understand that, but I can wearing 2 costumes at one awards do. Yeah. I can understand both opinions because he was good, but also when he dropped a couple that were just that piled the pressure on Spurs a little bit.
Well, that's what. Yeah, so when he was diving to his left, he was Vicario, and then when he was diving to his right,
he was him.
Should he have saved the first Galatasaray goal?
I think he should have done. Yeah, he should have come out and claimed it.
He should have scorpion kicked it away.
That was a stunning goal.
Absolute worldie.
Brilliant.
You listen to the comms. Did you hear the comms though? I don't know whether the comms. I presume the comms were the same as the ones that were on live. But
Glennie Hoddle,
the main commentator on that match was not into the call at all, and I don't understand why. What? I would have asked my peas.
But I
think pants.
Yeah.
I
think he couldn't.
Soiled. I was going to say soiled.
No, go on. You were going to say a rude word.
Pants,
you were going to say a rude word. What was it?
Soiled. Yeah.
Carry on.
I think he was just staggered by the goal itself.
Yeah, you just don't sort of see this kind of like loose half volley. Well, is it a volley? Is it a half volley? I never know.
It's not a half.
It's not a half volley.
It's a volley.
All right, yeah. It's a lovely kind of like loosey-goosey volley that just nestles. It's a nestler.
Yeah. Nice to see Victor Osimhen.
It's confusing to see Victor Osimhen, isn't it? It makes you think, like, have I gone forward in time like 7 years?
I know.
It makes sense him being there then.
Indeed.
But now it's sort of ridiculous that he's ended up at Galatasaray with a relative amount of respect to them. You would have expected him to move somewhere in a bigger league, but he's absolute just sauce, isn't he?
He really is, yeah, because obviously in the summer it was like, well, are Chelsea going to break the bank for him and all this sort of stuff. And then, going on loan there. I mean, we did talk about that. Oddly, Napoli, I think, are top of the league. So it's kind of working out for everybody.
Yeah.
It is, yeah.
It's nice when football does that.
It's funny seeing him up front with Icardi. They clearly have, like, A, no on-field relationship, and B, no inclination to work together.
No.
So they basically operated in that game yesterday like 2 separate contract killers.
Yes. Is that why they just didn't know who to mark, Spurs, at the back? Maybe
it was a little bit that, but like the number of times.
Pep
but the second half, when every person in the Galatasaray shirt, including some fans, just started taking shots. and it was like, but they would get the ball like one touch out of their feet outside the box and just try and bang it in.
Have a go, yeah.
Yeah, it was like they thought there was a child in goal.
Yeah.
It was quite the opposite of a child, a very big man.
It was the sort of game where if it was a Barlow.
The slender child.
It was the sort of game where if it was the first game you'd ever seen, you'd probably fall in love with football.
Yeah, it's a big one, yeah.
Yeah.
That's what you get, though.
Nice to see Dries Mertens.
Yeah, always nice to see Idris's pieces.
Yeah.
That's the great thing about Turkish football, isn't it?
Oh, yeah.
It's FIFA coins. It's those FIFA cards you get to make it's Ultimate Team. It's Ultimate Team League, isn't it? I love it.
Yes, we did enjoy it. I mean, Spurs did have 6 first team starters on the bench. So
don't do that again.
No, well, they are taking this competition seriously, just not as seriously as the Premier League, perhaps. But still, though, you've got a big squad, you've got a lot of games, you've got to rotate, da-di-da-di-da. And look, losing away to Galatasaray is not a shocking result, quite frankly. The manner of the performance would be a little bit more concerning.
They're 7th after 4 games. They'll be absolutely fine.
They will be absolutely fine.
And I don't know that it is that much of a problem. I feel like they ended in some credit, didn't they?
Solanke's got a lovely one.
Lovely little back heel.
Again, 1-0 when they were down to 10 men.
Yeah. Is that the popular win?
I guess.
Yeah, okay, fine.
It's a platform to build on.
It is a platform
Something like
to
that.
build on. Well, Spurs, of course, are one of the teams you would have to say in the Europa League that would have a realistic chance of winning it if you look around some of the names. And we remember not that long ago they reached a major European final, the Champions League final, of course, in 2019.
The stinkiest of all the finals.
Yes, exactly. Hugo Lloris has been talking about his time at Spurs this week from California and mentioned about the Champions League final that they reached in 2019. And he said that Daniel Levy gathered the squad together 4 days before that final against Liverpool to give them all watches from a club sponsor. They were each engraved with the player's name and it said Champions League finalist 2019 on them. They lost 2-0. And Hugo Lloris was basically saying in this interview that he's never worn that watch, and you get before the final a watch saying 2019 Champions League finalist, which massively suggests that's as good as it's going to get in this game.
and is as good as it needs to be. You completely understand why that would have been a deflating.
Yeah, he said he just felt so deflated. He was just like, what is this crap? Obviously, it would be a bit ridiculous to have Champions League winner, but just have Champions League 2019.
Yeah, or nothing.
Cheers,
or
Danny.
nothing.
Or nothing.
Cheers,
Yeah.
Danny.
Yeah.
Dano.
But he just spoke.
All the best, Dano.
Lots of love.
Yeah,
DL.
he said, look, he liked Levy and all that, and he just said, but that just spoke volumes of health.
Have winner, cross out winner, and then underneath finalist.
Have winner
really
and
nail it
finalist.
home that he's let him down.
Yeah, have them both. And so after the game,
I'm fairly certain I've got a watch that just says Dad on the back. It doesn't even say like from Dad. It says Dad.
Oh, he should have had it pre-inscribed with winner, and if they lose, they had to hand it to the Liverpool players.
Yes, lovely.
Or they could have had 2019 Champions League winner. like a challenge.
Yeah.
And if you want
to
to scrape out that question mark with your keys, you can. But it does. You hear these stories from like sports people who just are just so competitive. They're just like, I hate this. I'd be like, nice watch, thanks.
That's why you're not
Daniel.
there. That's why none of us are there. Let's be honest.
That will have cost them a striker.
You did
all
once
those
give
watches.
me, you did once give me a bowling ball with Peter on it once. Oh dear. Before we move on from Spurs, chaps, I want to bring to the table Pedro Porro and an interview that he gave this week. He was asked to give an interesting fact about himself to the club's social media team, and he said he puts the rubbish bin inside the rubbish bag rather than the other way round.
We should have led with this.
Yeah, this is seismic news.
This is.
I think he's talking about emptying the rubbish bin. Do you think?
Oh, maybe.
So he puts the rubbish bin.
He puts the bin bag around the bin and then flips the bin upside down.
Yeah,
so
maybe.
the rubbish falls into it.
It has to be that.
It's
Otherwise,
not what he said, though, is it?
It's not what he said. He explained it 3 times and none of that came out. He literally said he puts the bin inside the rubbish bin.
Just throws it away.
So you confused me even more.
Why
so
is
you
that?
think he puts the bin over the top of the bin? He puts the bin bag over the top of the bin
rubbish in.
and then flips it
maybe.
to empty the rubbish into the bin bag that he then takes out.
Well, everyone does that.
I mean,
depending on what you got.
It has to be that. Otherwise, he's just going.
We'll part that for a second. Marcus, go on.
Otherwise, he's just recycling through bins the whole time.
It's like a turd ducking of rubbish and bin, rubbish and bin, rubbish and bin till it ends. He's got to get bigger bins every time.
You've said this 2 weeks in a row. Not everything inside somebody else is a turd ducking.
Yeah.
Rubbish in a bin.
That's how babies are made, all right?
Yeah. It's like Inception.
I'm turduckening you.
Thing, people say it's like Inception when it's not.
Actually, Inception is human turducken, isn't it?
Yeah,
it's a man inside another man's dream.
It's a dream turducken.
Come full circle, so it is like Inception.
I'm just hungry and I've never had a turducken, all right? Will someone get me a turducken?
You do seem the best qualified to talk about like weird bin stuff.
Right, yeah.
So what do
he's got maggots in mine.
Cool.
Every week of the summer, maggots in the Sulaw, thank you very much.
Oh dear.
And then I get the kettle out. I say, thank you for your service, gentlemen.
What, and then you boil them?
Boil them.
Oh my God.
Boil the maggots.
Okay.
Bit of paprika.
We'll all be eating them soon.
We'll all be eating them
once
soon.
the canned goods have run out in our bunkers.
Okay. Well, Spurs play Ipswich on Sunday at 2 p.m.
Speaking of maggots.
Oh, dear. Surely, Jim Campbell, Spurs are going to be back to winning ways with that one.
Yeah, I'd expect so. I don't think that's too controversial a pick, is it?
No, it isn't. I mean, Ipswich, of course, only them and Wolves have failed to win a Premier League game this season.
They've failed to win in convincing ways, haven't they, Ipswich?
Yeah, this is it. And I imagine they'll do that on Sunday as well. I'm sure they'll give Spurs a scare at some point, but Spurs will ultimately win. That seems to be the story of Ipswich.
I think that's probably a fair suggestion.
They've got a few. They've got Man City. They've got Chelsea on the horizon before December really gets going. So,
is this Ipswich?
And of course, no, it's Spurs, and of course, Fulham, mighty Fulham.
Right.
On the rise.
So what's your takeaway from that?
I'm just saying that this is going to be the start of a tough few set of games for them.
Indeed it is. Elsewhere in the Europa League last night, Manchester United beat PAOK 2-0. Amad Diallo was the difference according to Ruud van Nistelrooy and the facts. He got both goals. Vishy, you must be delighted to be back to winning ways in Europe at Old Trafford.
Yes, yeah. It's been a long time coming.
Genuinely has.
I said it couldn't be done.
And Ruud van Nistelrooy actually said in the post-match, understandably, he said it was important to get another win at Old Trafford.
Sorry, no, they said it should have been done. That's what
yes.
My mistake. Diallo was very good. It feels we're in kind of a weird space at the moment where Casemiro's playing balls around the corner with his back to goal and they're working and young players are doing well. I'm really curious to see, because Ruben Amorim's literally doing another job. And a lot of people are like, well, he would have paid attention to that. I don't know that he would have done.
No.
I don't really think he's all that concerned until he gets in there and gets his hand in the muck.
The irony is you could have Tuchel doing this now, just for a little while. Yeah. He's not busy, is he?
Yeah, good point.
Do you think that if Amorim was asked, did you watch the game? And he just went, I've seen enough. I know. I know.
And Gary Cotter will, no, whoa! Why are you mocking the British public?
Yeah, exactly.
Only mocking one member of the British public, Gary.
Yeah, but it is you.
Yeah.
This was Manchester United's second European win in 12, which
is an amazing
piss
statistic.
poor.
All right.
Yeah.
Yeah, it is. It's awful, yeah.
Yeah, the next game will be against Norwegian side Bodo Glimt. All behind the Glimt guys. Ruben Amorim will be at the helm for that one. Now, David Moyes has been speaking about his time managing Manchester United this week. He said, my plans were not to do anything different to what Sir Alex Ferguson did, but I couldn't be Alex. I couldn't manage like him. I wasn't going to come in and change the philosophy of Manchester United. I was just going to continue everything I thought he'd been doing right.
Now, if that sort of thing worked, couldn't he have just been Alex Ferguson at Everton?
Yeah. Yes, exactly. Yeah, he should have realised it, shouldn't he?
The more he talks about this job, and I do mean this sincerely, the more I get a sense that he was hoodwinked into it to a point.
Well, I think that's probably... I don't think that's ridiculous to say because Ferguson turned up at his house or something, didn't he?
He essentially told him he was doing the job.
Yeah. And because do you remember at the time, Jose Mourinho was annoyed that he didn't get the gig.
When's Mourinho not annoyed?
Good point. Yeah. But
stinky Man United, he said. Stinky.
But the thing with Moyes was he obviously came into what he thought was a really well-structured club, not realising that Ferguson was the foundation and the spine. He just walked off, basically. And there was nothing really in place, as he found out when he had to transplant a lot of his things from Everton over to Manchester United, that obviously didn't scale up in the way that Manchester United wanted to and stuff like that. So, yeah, it is interesting. I feel like, though, because this happens once a year, he talks about it, and there's something new, I feel like it's slowly dawning on him.
But,
obviously you're not going to say no to the job. I think
it's dawning on everybody. And I think that what you've just been saying there is you're right. It was an absolute stitch-up, And I feel sorry for David Moyes. Kind of was, wasn't it? He was going to hide it to nothing.
You look back at it and think, had they gone straight to Mourinho then, things might have been really different.
Yeah, well, it would have been a smarter move, yeah.
Massively so, yeah.
But anyway, they've turned to Ruben Amorim and he will be there. Ruud van Nistelrooy was asked in the post-match, have you had a text or anything? Or has anybody been in touch? Because he obviously wants to stay at the club. And he said he has not. Would you like Ruud to stay?
I would. The players seem to like him. I think there's a lot to be said for that. I think he could be a good ally for Amorim in terms of someone who can be quite a reliable conduit between, even though he's only been there for a few months, but be a reliable conduit between the coaching staff and the players, while also giving a bit of background one way or the other. I think
he's not been there that long in coaching.
No, that's what I mean. Yeah, but even the way the players talk about him, like even Andre Onana was saying the other day that. He'd love him to stay. He really likes working with him and stuff like that.
Yeah, but with regards to what I'm saying, in terms of he's not been there that long as a coach, often a coach will come in and maybe keep one or two members of staff who've been there for years and years, who have been doing it. Whereas if he's looking at Ruud van Nistelrooy, he's thinking, hang on a minute, no sooner did he turn up, he bumped the other guy off.
Do you think that's what happened?
I think Ruben Amorim, if he's read Macbeth, will be thinking, I'm not having any of this. Everybody
Lady Rude.
So you think Ruud van Nistelrooy was stitching up Ten Hag's tactics, telling the players to do different things from what he said?
No,
walk towards.
For the record, I think Moyes may well have been inadvertently stitched up, which is one way of putting it. I don't think Ten Hag was. I think he was.
You can't call him Moyes. It's the Scottish manager,
the Scottish one. Yeah, exactly. But Manchester United, yes, they play Leicester 2 p.m. on Sunday. Ruud van Nistelrooy has an excellent record as Manchester United manager against Leicester City.
Brilliant record, yeah.
Brilliant record, yeah. 100%.
Endlessly good.
Yeah, 5 goals a game.
Yeah, you tighten up at the back. You don't want to concede 2 more. But, he's getting the best out of Casemiro at Manchester United. Yeah. One has to say that. Yeah. He looks rejuvenated.
He does.
It's ridiculous.
You sound annoyed about it.
I'm not. I'm flabbergasted, quite frankly. How bad he was under Ten Hag.
Yeah. Well, he's just got a bit of support, hasn't he?
Yeah.
I think that was genuinely the majority of the problem, wasn't it? He just had too much to do on his own.
Yeah, he did have that. Certainly. All right, then. Coming up after this, Chelsea put those slugs FC Noah to the sword.
Oh, come on, Vic. Everyone's saying top four. Of course we're going to be in the top 4. Look at the football we're playing. Look at the players we've got. Look at the manager. Of course we're going to be in the top 4. That would be a disaster if we don't get top 4 now. We're fighting for the title.
Jamie O'Hara on Spurs there. Welcome back to the Ramble, everybody. Yeah, I don't know. Chelsea versus Arsenal is a big one on Sunday at 4:30. Chelsea, of course, beat FC Noah 8-0 in the Europa Conference League. In fact, I should say Chelsea B beat them. Yeah. Chelsea A, B, and I might even go to C.
There was a player making his debut, so I think there's a little bit of C in there.
Well, what I was going to say is, Jim, that A, B or C are all 3 of those teams are clearly the best team in the Europa Conference League. Yeah. Mr. Andy Brassel has said
they could compete in Turkey, definitely.
Oh, yes.
They could compete amongst themselves.
Yeah. A little one-man Chelsea league.
Yeah.
None of them would get relegated from the Prem. But Chelsea, like the Europa Conference League, as Andy's often said, and he said it when West Ham won the competition, he's like, this competition, it should be, well, he didn't say in these terms that it should be dominated by Premier League sides, but he said that the differences in finances between Premier League sides and the Europa League is so stark. In the Champions League, of course, it's when you get to the top half, it's a bit closer. Europa League, but as you go further down, as you'd expect, the disparities are just enormous. And again, you look at the Europa Conference League, who on earth couldn't? You've got maybe Fiorentina, I think Real Betis are in there, maybe the magnificent Gorgi boys, despite their loss last night.
FC Noah are currently 4th in the Armenian league.
Yeah, when
give you some context
exactly, there. Jim, exactly.
I feel sorry for them just because they've got a slightly adorable name.
I know, they do. Chelsea have scored 16 goals in 3 games, double anyone else in the competition. You can only beat what's put in front of you.
But also,
they're going to sing that song again, aren't they?
Next season. They are.
But they also have that thing where the teams they put out, like João Felix started yesterday.
I know.
And he's just hungry for goals.
He was amazing as well, wasn't he?
I wonder what.
Missed an open goal.
Yeah, I mean, it should have been 9.
Yeah.
They let them off the hook. I wonder what João Felix and Mudryk and some of the other players that are starting more in the Conference League than in the Premier League are thinking. I mean, it doesn't seem to be anything else other than, hooray, we're playing football, let's go out and score a lot of goals, to be fair.
Yeah.
Like, I'm certainly not questioning them, but...
Are we a bespoke team?
Yeah,
that's kind of what it feels like.
As Maresca been saying, that's right, you're our European team. So when we get to the Champions League, we'll be the starters as well. Yeah, that'll be fun. I mean, they will be at least in the Europa League next season because they will win this competition.
Yeah.
Like, honestly, no one will be able to lay a glove on them.
But is this not just a really good sign for Chelsea in that, like, you know, when like midweek you're playing little sort of 11-on-11 sort of friendlies against the rest of the squad? If the rest of the squad is pretty bloody good, they're going to be better than everyone, aren't they?
Iron sharpens iron.
No, good reference.
Really felt like a kick about this, didn't it?
Yeah.
It did, yeah.
But like a really like. There was a point where I was like, okay, we get it. Like, leave them alone.
I know.
Yeah.
There is a touch of that. I mean, I know they are 4th in the Armenian Premier League, but they were the first team to reach.
Do you know? Did you know that before it was written down? I don't think you did, because it's the Armenian League, for crying out loud.
Ask me another question about the Armenian League.
All right, who's top?
FC
Moses. FC Moses.
FC Arc. But they're owned by FC Noah.
Right, okay.
So they reached the Conference League group stages by winning all 4 qualifying rounds. So again, you've got to hand it to Chelsea. This is a team who know how to win in the Europa Conference League.
Sure.
So fair play.
It's a team with a great record in European competition. That's just a fact.
Their campaign began on the 11th of July.
1984.
Yes, before the Euros final, and also before Chelsea had even played a pre-season friendly. So they've had a long run up at this. They should be disgusted with that 8-0 loss, quite frankly. But back in the Premier League, Chelsea are hosting Arsenal, of course, as I say, on Sunday afternoon. It's a big one, Jim. It's a big one for both sides. Arsenal have had a little bit of a dip in form. And Chelsea currently in 4th as well, on the same points as Arsenal. It's 4th versus 5th. And this is... Chelsea have done all right this season. I think better than what a few people perhaps thought. But we're now 10 games in, so any kind of, they're doing a bit better, I think that's kind of gone now.
Yeah.
We're
got an idea of who teams are.
Exactly, yes. Can they push on? Now, Forest are in 3rd. It would be magnificent if they can keep that up. Liverpool top, obviously, Man City in 2nd, so you would expect certainly some of those names there. So Chelsea are looking around and thinking, okay, Arsenal and Villa on the same points, Spurs a couple of points behind. These, we would think, would be the sides vying for that top 4 as they go. Chelsea, they've been tested this season. Obviously, they played Man City on the first day, which is... you can forgive them for losing that, but
they actually did all right in that game.
They did okay, and at Anfield did all right, but obviously lost the game. This is a big test for Chelsea, but for Arsenal, as I say, going through a bit of a dip in form. This is the kind of game Arsenal need to win if they really want to be considered title challenge.
And I would say at the moment, I think they need a win more than a performance. Even they just need to sort of get back on track.
Has that been a part of the problem though? In terms of people saying they're a bit more Mourinho than Guardiola and all that kind of stuff. The performances have not been that great.
They've been pretty flat, yeah. I wonder if there's a little bit of complacency that's crept in. There's a sense that, like, okay, we've got a really good defensive record, so therefore defending must be easy for us, so we maybe don't try as hard as we've been trying because we don't need to. That's obviously, I can't read anyone's mind, but it kind of feels a little bit like that. Chelsea have conceded quite a lot of goals at home. Arsenal have been kind of really labouring to make clear chances at the moment, so I wonder if actually this might be an opportunity for them to sort of recalibrate a little bit and refocus. And obviously, that's what happens after with big teams, isn't it? They go through a sticky patch and it gets to a point it's like, right, we have to just really refocus and get much better. And I hope that that's what we see from Arsenal at the weekend. But Chelsea are a pretty irresistible force going forward. Now, Cole Palmer is a doubt. Declan Rice has a broken toe, but intends to play, apparently. I'm presuming it's not the big one. Otherwise, that's like quite a hefty injection.
It's a vestigial 7th.
Is it the middle toe just tucked in?
Just probably all right.
The other toes all band round it.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay.
Little gilet on. But yeah, so I mean, it's going to be interesting personnel issues there. So it feels very kind of evenly matched at the moment, this one.
Mm-hmm. And obviously Odegaard could be playing in the game.
I'd be surprised to see him start. He came on for about 5 minutes against Inter, and he looked lively, but obviously it's 5 minutes at the end of the game, so you can't really take too much away from that.
I think Arteta will be tempted to chuck him in there.
Yeah,
I think you have to now, don't you?
He's
what
needed.
You just talked about.
He is absolutely needed. Even, as we mentioned before, Ethan Ranieri, when he came on, in a lot of the games he's come on in, Arsenal look a little bit more fluent. And it's the fluency that's been missing. I think Mikel Merino's taken a little while to settle in. Obviously, he had a long summer and he has an injury as well.
And we're going to see Jorginho at some point.
Yeah, I've been wondering
Vish and
if Jorginho...
I've
been wondering if he might sort of get himself back into the picture, because what he brings is he's one of those players where everyone rates him as an underrated player, but he brings a lot of calm and a lot of kind of... He's like a dad, isn't he? He's like a sensible dad.
Yes.
So making sure everyone's okay in the playground, and that's been missing a little bit.
Yes, indeed. Well, it'll be a good game. I mean, both sides, as you say, needing a win. I mean, Chelsea, they've been scoring a lot of goals. I mean, only Man City and Spurs have outscored them in the league this season, which has been quite something, because in Nicholas Jackson, we know that he's up to it as well. But they've got goals everywhere on the pitch, Peter. You've got to say that about Chelsea.
Every time I hear the words Nicholas Jackson, I want to go, Nicholas Jackson, ooh.
Yeah. Feel free.
Just did, all right, I just did.
Feel free to do that. In your own time.
On my own pods. Yeah, they are very enjoyable, because there's some lovely chaotic Chelsea energy. They haven't got a sponsor on their shirts. They've gone quite mad.
The shirt looks like a lava lamp.
So the shirt does look like a lava lamp.
And the badges are shiny, I think.
Yes.
I think they've done well with the kit.
I quite like that.
Yeah, but because they don't have a sponsor, it looks great.
Yes.
More of that, please.
Cole Palmer may miss this game due to injury, though. That would be a huge plus for Arsenal. Let's not piss around.
You say that, but then just pop João Felix in, fresh off of his
the little Chelsea vending machine.
True.
It's a Chelsea vending machine. It's like a Pez dispenser. Todd Bowley.
Yeah, but Palmer is one of the best players in the league, though.
He is, but he didn't really do anything against Liverpool, and they were pretty solid there. Basically,
well, let's write him off then.
I'm not. Why have you jumped there?
If he wasn't English, would you be doing this?
Exactly. Yeah.
I'm not going to answer that.
But I do think, obviously he's integral to the way they play. He might end up playing, because he has had a bit of time off to recover. He was obviously never going to play in Europe because he's not been registered with their squad.
How many goals would he score against Ashley Noah?
Yeah, he probably wasn't allowed to.
It's annoying, isn't it? Because records would be broken.
You know that sometimes when you play school football and you play against a team who have a really good player, but he's signed to a club and he can't play he can't play Wednesdays, but he can only play Sundays.
Yeah,
But maybe that's Cole Palmer's.
Maybe that's it. But then once he does play in like a friendly, and he gets 9.
Yeah.
I think that's it.
But I think Chelsea have a massive opportunity here, and they should learn a lesson from how they played the Manchester United game last week, where for some reason they just sat off Manchester United.
Yeah, I don't know why.
Yeah.
Instead of actually trying to take control of the game.
Yeah, I don't know why they did that. I thought that Chelsea underperformed massively in that game.
I think obviously they'll need to be more disciplined against Arsenal. That's a bit of a no-brainer. But they're at home. People seem to be enjoying watching football again at Stamford Bridge. I think they've got a real good chance of properly ramping it up on Sunday.
Yeah, I agree with you. I do agree. Before we get to our bet, as discussed this week, Edu has left Arsenal to work with Evangelos Marinakis, which is a strange move, quite frankly. Now, some fans have discovered that Edu does a great barbecue. Have you seen the photos of it?
Yeah, this is a well-known thing within the Arsenal universe.
The Arsenal family,
the Arsenal
Marcus
community.
Yeah,
the Arsenal meme culture, Marcus.
Oh, is
exactly.
that right? I didn't know this.
Right. Loves a barbecue.
Yeah, he's very impressive. His barbecue has 3 cooking compartments. And there is a mural of him cooking at his barbecue next to the Emirates.
So it's not like just general kind of smorgasbord idea of a barbecue. It's literally the barbecue that he owns as a millionaire.
Do you think that's why Marinakis got him in?
Because it sounds like marinade?
Yes.
Yes.
I couldn't think of the word, but I knew there was something in there.
Yeah.
I thought you were going there.
I don't know. I think it would just be for team building.
Yeah,
we're going to go, blimey, but don't worry, Edu's coming, is he? And he's bringing his barbecue. I'm in.
I mean, he's going to be a big loss to, not just because of the barbecues as well, but he's done a really good job in the positions that he's been in, not just in terms of getting some good players in, and obviously there's been some failures as well, but that's the case with everything. But like, he's been really good with contract renewals, which is really boring. Like the really boring.
They're always
is absolutely key.
They're always covered with grease, though. The contract.
Yeah.
Just grease and firelighters.
Can you stop putting this in the kitchen? It's covered in Marinakis.
Oh, dear. Oh, he's been having a cigar again, has he? Yeah.
Oh, so the chat is that his successor, whoever that may be, Mikel Arteta is going to have a say in who that is. And the idea is that there'll be a partnership rather than it being hierarchical. But I do wonder that if this is the start of like God Emperor Arteta, and it might be a bit mad from here on in.
I think they should go for former Arsenal players from Brazil. Like I'd like to see, was it
Gilberto Silva?
Silva.
Andre Santos.
Yeah.
Denilson.
Silvinho. Who was the big beefy bloke who scored?
Julio
Baptista.
Get him in.
The Beast. He was called. He wasn't that beastly, actually.
You wouldn't have to negotiate with him. He would just be like, sign this. Okay, fine.
Yeah, which I think is what's happened to Edu.
Yes, exactly, yeah. That's it. We want more bullying when it comes to transfers.
Didn't Edu technically sign Arteta? He would have been there at the contract signing, wouldn't he? So,
maybe, yeah.
Whoever Arteta signs as director, surely they'd be signing the next person who is the manager.
I can't remember.
A man with no hands. A man with no idea of how to work a printer.
Oh,
he'll be manager for life. Beautiful.
It's a beautiful thing, Pete Donaldson.
Beautiful thing.
You paint quite the picture.
Yes.
And do quite the barbecue, I'm told. Coming up after this is Julen Lopetegui on the verge of being sacked. West Ham United versus Everton, Saturday at 3 p.m. We've spoken about Lopetegui many times this season, how he's under pressure and so on, but West Ham will reportedly review his position should they lose to Everton on Saturday. They're currently 14th, 6 points off the relegation zone, and they've disappointed this season, Vithushan.
Yeah, they really have. It's how much have they spent? 100 million?
It was 130. It might have been.
Right,
it was a lot of money
in the summer as well, and it felt like the start of a new dawn. It's been one they've been pushing towards, in moving beyond not just moving beyond David Moyes, but moving beyond this idea of being a mid-tier club. This was kind of the injection of cash was to push them further up the table, as was the acquisition of Lopetegui. And it really hasn't worked.
They've regressed?
They have, yeah. The Manchester United game, which they won, which ultimately brought the end of Ten Hag. We mentioned it earlier on this week, in fact. They were pretty lucky to get away with something.
They were piss poor in that first half in particular.
They were equally poor. They've been equally poor all the way through the season, really. So
great against Ipswich, though, guys.
Yes, yeah, good point. Good point.
Yeah.
So it's a really interesting thing because I think, obviously West Ham fans aren't happy, but there was a sense of like this did need to happen. Yeah. But also you get the sense from certainly the West Ham fans I know that like typical us, as soon as we try and think above our station, we get slapped down.
You get dragged back in.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, I know what you mean.
We have been saying this for a little while, but I think it's still relevant that, when you're trying to change a style, especially when you're trying to make it a bit more expansive and a bit more attack-minded, it does come with teething problems, right? And I understand that these are quite extreme teething problems, and dental pain is quite serious pain, and you want to get it checked out as soon as possible. But surely, they maybe just have to go through this. I suppose the flip side of that is that just because you really want that to happen, it doesn't mean the person you have in place is the person to do it.
Well, that's it, yeah. I think that a lot of people are fed up of Lopetegui down there. I mean, some people would think, come on, give him a chance or whatever. But can it get that much better?
But have they not just been quite unlucky? Like Fulkrug not being on the pitch, really.
Yeah, they've been really unlucky.
They've been unlucky with discipline. Some of their better players last year just haven't performed. The Athletic ran a piece about questioning whether I think it was more complimentary than questioning whether, but questioning whether really is Jarrod Bowen really the best captain because he doesn't really talk. He's just a good player.
I'm glad you mentioned that because there has been a bit of talk about this, and some of the quotes he said. I mean, I'm not sure how important the captain's armband is in.
Well, go from Declan Rice to him. Like, obviously, very, very good players, I guess.
Well, he was only given the captain's armband in the summer. It was Kurt Zuma, I think it was, before.
But still, there's a year, there's basically a year between having Declan Rice as your captain and Jarrod Bowen as your captain.
Well, Jarrod Bowen, who said about his leadership qualities, I'm quite quiet off the pitch. In the changing room, I keep myself to myself. I wouldn't class myself as a big leader. I let the more experienced players speak. In terms of a group discussion, if there's something I want to say, I will say it. But I'm not the loudest speaker, no.
But you are the most, you've played so many games, you are the most experienced person. You might not be the oldest, experienced, mate. But you are the most experienced.
Maybe it's just a culturally different approach to what the captain's armband actually means, though. Maybe Lopetegui looks at somebody who leads by example. Yeah. And Bowen absolutely does that. I think he's one of the most underrated players in the league. Yeah, as much as people still rate him. Sure. I think he's brilliant.
But I think it does, as Pete said, though. I mean, there was a piece on this. It does seem to be a little bit of an issue. I mean, I suppose when Arsenal good Arteta, if you like, there was often talk about who are the captains on the pitch, and all this sort of
Emery
stuff.
Emery had a group of 5, didn't he?
Did he?
Yeah, which is another thing that is not that unusual on the continent.
And some things work somewhere and not some. I don't think that is the reason. Jarrod Bowen is clearly an excellent player and has been one of their best players in recent years. So I don't think that you wouldn't blame him or anything. But it does seem that maybe there's a lack of leadership on the pitch, perhaps. Someone who can I don't know, galvanise everybody. I don't know. But they have been lacking on the pitch. There's no two ways about that. Obviously, we're looking at the manager. I mean, maybe people clutching at straws, but this has been mentioned as a little bit of an issue.
Yeah.
The discipline has not helped at all, of course. Alvarez getting sent off against Forest was a bit silly.
Yeah.
Mohamed Kudus, I mean, it was violent conduct. That extends to 5 games. It was, 3 initially? He served 2 of the 3, and then the panel thought, no, actually, we'll treat the 2
separately.
Exactly, against Spurs. And it's like, come on, man, you're one of our best players. And he spoke Kudus not that long ago, didn't he, after he came back from Ghana duty when they failed to qualify for, was it African Cup of Nations? And he said,
I'm going to kill someone.
He said, against Spurs, I'm going to let him have it. No, he said, I've got to get a bit better, and he sort of was giving him a bit of a pep talk and all that kind of thing. And it's not happening for West Ham. I don't think in a million years I don't think in a month of Sundays they're going to get relegated this season. But as Vish said, you don't want to suddenly go, well, we were looking up the table, and you don't want to be just glancing behind you thinking, come on, like how many false dawns here?
There's been kind of unrest with Tim Steidten as well, the technical director. Now, he and David Moyes clashed quite a lot. And to the point where Moyes actually banned him from training, I think, didn't he, towards the end of it.
It was well documented.
Maybe he was saying, can't you just do exactly what Pep Guardiola does? Just I've tried this with Alex Ferguson. I promise you it doesn't work. It doesn't work like that. But he obviously kind of won that power battle. So a lot of the signings that have come in are on him. And I think there's a little bit of frustration that his methods don't seem to be working yet. So it's kind of messy there. I still feel you've got to go through it and maybe give it a little bit longer. But I feel for Everton. How often is it like, look, if we lose to Everton, we've got to sack the manager? It feels like that happens every month or so.
Yeah, it's hard not to take it personally, isn't it?
Well, I mean, the extra peril for this match is that I'm actually going with Frank Champion. And Frank Champion, my father-in-law, is obsessed with the fact that every time I see West Ham play, they always lose.
But that's on the telly, though. You're actually going
at the match itself. Yeah. The worrying thing is that it's Frank Champion's 80th. His picture's in the programme. If they lose,
and he's getting the last 10 minutes.
I mean, I'm just sort of fearing for that. Like, if John Pickford plays like he's been playing this season, I'll have it, right? And West Ham will win. And then, because I've got 45 minutes drive home to deal with. So,
how does he feel about Lopetegui? It might be that if he doesn't like him, and in his mind you get him sacked.
Well, he was
be a good thing.
Exactly. Well, he was a Moyesman from the very first day that David Moyes arrived for his second spell. So there is that. He was a big fan of David Moyes. So who knows what his feelings are? I'll find out what the Tegs.
Yeah, well, we look forward to hearing how Frank Champion took the win, loss or draw. Everton themselves are down in 16th. They've only lost 1 of their last 6 games, which was against Southampton, though. So that counts as 3, maybe, I don't know. But December looks tricky for them. They face, I don't know why we've got Man United in this list, but they've Man United. Liverpool.
Was this written 2 years ago?
They've got Liverpool, Arsenal,
and
Chelsea, Forest and Man City. So it is a little bit tricky for Everton. Sean Dyche isn't worried, though. This is my 10th season. Not at Everton, I assume he means the Premier League. There are bits of the season where you go, ooh, that one looks tricky, but you have to go through it. Every team will have the same sort of thing.
He's right, isn't he?
He is right.
He's right.
I would love somebody to say what you mentioned a few minutes ago, Jim, about... You do know that if Lopetegui loses to you, they might sack him. What do you think of that? And he really would have an opinion on that, wouldn't he?
I'm not going to comment on other people. Yeah.
But it's a chance for both of these sides, who both are really wanting points. Obviously, both sort of 14th versus 16th. So I don't know which way this one's going to go.
No.
It wouldn't shock me if Everton ruined Frank Champion's day.
Yeah.
But I hope for
some sendings off in the back pocket as well.
Yeah, I hope for yours and Champion's sake that it is a West Ham win. Wolves face Southampton at 3 p.m. on Saturday as well. It's the bottom two going head to head. Gary O'Neill is under enormous pressure ahead of this game, of course. I'm not sure if Wolves would pull the trigger if they lost this game, but if they were to lose it, Vish and Molyneux, that would be a damning one.
Yeah, it might even be a sacking brought about by the reaction at the end of the game if they lose the game.
I mean, there has been a little bit of you don't know what you're doing, isn't there, towards him with substitutes and things like that already.
Which is a shame for Gag.
I feel like they've had moments where they look really good.
I know what you mean, yeah.
And it's obviously it's about stitching them together, and they haven't been able to do that. And the fact that they are winless, having lost 7, 27 goals conceded is mad.
It is. It's not good.
That is, I mean...
Noni Madueke scored half of them.
Yeah, he did, yeah. But, with managers like that, you can see the attacking bits of play, and that's generally... I always think it's easier to sort to a point, because you put the structure in place, and then you get the players... in the right positions, and you kind of leave it to them, don't you? Whereas you require a bit more defensive organisation. And I appreciate they've lost Max Hillman to West Ham, who isn't really having an effect there, but he was a big part of why they were so solid in parts last season. And it feels like they're just so open. They haven't really improved, and they're as hard as they are to suppress. They're easier to play against, if that makes sense. You can play through them a bit more. So,
I mean, it's been a little bit better. I mean, obviously very unlucky to lose that late goal against Man City, and then the result against Brighton. I mean, okay, they left it very, very late, but that's the kind of result that gets everybody going. Against Palace at home, they'd be disappointed not to win that. See that funny kind of few minutes in the game, and it ended 2-2. This is a crucial one. If they don't win this, then I think a lot of people say, "Come on." Like, what else?
Yeah, I mean, but they've been, as you've pointed out, they've had some narrow defeats against some really, really good teams.
But at some point, though, Jim.
Yeah, but that makes me think, well, actually, maybe they can sort of show their teeth here and win this one comfortably.
Do you remember when Man City needed a last gasp winner from Rodri against Sheffield United?
Yeah,
last season.
True, it happens.
Yeah, ultimately they lost.
It's a different set of circumstances, isn't it? You would hope, with all due respect to Southampton, that Wolves would go into this feeling confident and trying to get a convincing win.
Whereas, I mean, I reckon this will be a really entertaining game.
Yeah, I think so. Whereas Southampton, Russell Martin has been in some of their previous losses or previous games where they have lost. He's been pleased with the performance, or at least bits of the performance, but they haven't got the result against Everton.
Yeah, you're
how
right.
on earth they won that game? So maybe their new strategy.
You're right. It's fair. What I said about Wolves also applies to Southampton, doesn't it? So.
But maybe their new strategy is let's just not play very well, and then we might actually bloody win it.
Good point.
Yeah, well, Arsenal have been doing that, and it's not been going that well. So
no, indeed, yeah. Did you see that Southampton's Taylor Harwood-Bellis has been called up to the England squad for the first time?
This feels very much like. Boris Johnson putting people into the Lords as they leave, isn't it?
What is this, Lee Carsley's?
Yeah, Lee Carsley's little. I'll pop you in there. A bit of quid pro quo.
I mean, the Boris Johnson thing that was very, very undeserved and quite outrageous. Whereas Taylor Harwood-Bellis,
talk to a Southampton fan this year. Okay. They're as surprised as anybody else.
Is that right?
I know we're very short of centre backs, but.
Yeah. Well, I think one of the pleasing things though with that news is
he's playing for England, and you love England.
No, that. Well, there is that, but international football will be back next week.
Yes,
thank goodness for that.
I was missing it for a sec.
We could get this lot out the way, and then we can really knuckle down to the big stuff.
Dean Smith also says you're an encyclopedia of football.
A what?
An encyclopedia of football.
I don't know what that means.
Oh, I'm hosting today, which means I've been given the clues, which means I'm going to win. Last week, Jim beat Marcus and me to become the new lineal champion. He's now top of the tail with 57% round win percentage.
Whoa.
Well done, Jim. That is strong.
Belt holder on top of the table.
That is a strong Trumpian performance. It's a simple game of categories, as you know. We're going to kick things off with you, Vish, if that's all right with you.
Yes.
Hey. Let's have from you every Premier League player to be sent off so far this season. Every Premier League player to be sent off so far for this season.
Leandro Trossard.
Bad boy for life.
Declan Rice.
Edson Alvarez.
He's in there.
William Saliba.
William Saliba has been sent off, yes.
Suddenly I'm struggling.
It's Torres to give Chelsea a place in the Champions League final. The headline
Pedro Porro? Yeah.
Unlucky.
He was in my mind for some reason.
Yeah.
Well, I'm glad I helped you.
Yeah, you did. Okay. Mohamed Kudus.
Oh, blimey. We just spoke about him. And it's Gordon Bennett.
Well done.
Bruno Fernandes.
That's why Jim's the champ.
Bruno Fernandes, he says.
For a moment, I thought I was going to get that because I didn't pronounce it properly. Andy's in my head.
Oh, dear.
It's Torres to give Chelsea a place in the Champions League final. The headline has been written.
Nicholas Jackson. I mean, I don't think he has.
No.
It's just the first bloke I think
well
of.
Done, Vish.
No need for VAR.
Well done, Vish. No need for VAR for that one.
Vish, 1-0.
You could have had Ashley Young, could have had Fabian Schär, you could have had Harry Clark, Jack Stevens, Gian Philogene.
The fuck's Harry Clark?
James Ward-Prowse,
Ipswich.
Joachim
yes.
Anderson, Calvin Phillips, Morgan Gibbs-White, and how do you even card a man that's so short? Ryan Fraser.
Yeah, I mean, I was moaning about Anderson's red card for Fulham. And I was like,
Calvin Phillips as well.
Yeah.
That's within my mind recently.
not a good start, but a good start for Vish, though.
Look,
Vish can only beat what's put in front of him.
You've got turf in your studs, and you're just getting up to speed.
Here we are.
Marcus.
Hello.
The 20 Spanish players with the most Premier League appearances. The 20 Spanish players with the most Premier League appearances.
I will go for Mikel Arteta.
Oh, wow.
I like it.
What a shout.
Good one. I will go for David De Gea.
Oh, nicely done.
Nicely done.
I'm going to go for Cesar Azpilicueta.
Oh, yes.
Very good. I'll go for Fernando Torres.
Ooh, nice.
Muy bueno.
You had me worried there.
I will go for Cesc Fabregas.
Lovely.
See.
I will go for Juan Mata.
Yeah, you'd not.
That's a good one.
Right. Pepe Reina.
Pepe Reina.
Oh,
It's good.
That's a good one.
It's good.
I will go for
It's a good one.
Manuel Almunia.
I'm surprised at that.
Yeah, I'm surprised too.
Hector Bellerin.
Oh, yeah.
Ooh.
He's in there. He's in there. Marcus.
Hello.
It's Torres.
Jesus Navas. Not confident with that. I said Jesus Navas.
Oh, sorry.
But I'm not confident, though.
Here's Navas. Unlucky. Vish, if you get this, you win the game.
I mean, I think I've won the game. Oriol Romeo.
You
What?
bugger.
Congratulations,
Vish. Well played.
That's a surprising one to me.
Yeah.
No, as soon as he said that.
Almunia was 35th in the list.
No one said David Silva.
No.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Fancy a bit of Xabi Alonso? Would you have gone for Xabi Alonso?
Eventually.
Well, you would have been wrong because he was 21st. Adama Traore, Angel Rangel.
Traore's played more games than Xabi Alonso.
Apparently so. Jose
crazy.
Perez. You can still find him.
Your man.
David Silva, Ivan Campo, Jose Enrique, Marcos
Campo.
Alonso, Nacho Monreal, Pablo Fornals, Rodri, and Vicente Guaita.
Do you know, I thought about Rodri and I thought, has he?
Guaita.
Oh, the Palace keeper. I was wondering, why aren't there more goalkeepers?
Well, how about? Yeah, that's true.
There you go.
Well, Vish has done it, everybody. God,
he has.
What a way! What a way to start the week.
Start to the weekend.
Cheers for watching another fantastic clip from the Football Ramble podcast. Make sure you click like on this video and subscribe to the channel, which means you will not miss a single upload.